Hi everyone, I hope you're doing well. So today's video is all about Tenerife, Lanzarote, those seven little Canary Islands down there, and seven reasons why they're a good place to travel to. But first of all, please do like and subscribe if you find it useful. I've got a whole travel playlist. I'll put it up there with loads of travel tips, advice, information, things to do, ways to save money, travel on a budget, using budget airlines, really all sorts of tips and tricks. So they're all things that I've learned from my travels and I wanted to pass on to other people. So in case they might find it useful. And it really does help me out if you do like and subscribe. So just take a moment to do that and I'll thank you very much. So number one, well, first of all, actually, if you don't know where these islands are, so they're just off of the west coast of Africa. Um, they're owned by Spain, although they're very far from mainland Spain, and Spain is divided into provinces or regions, and those regions do have some levels of autonomy, like their own governments, even though they do all go under Madrid in Spain. So the first reason, I think this is a reason that's pretty obvious, good weather for most of the year. Well, in winter it's normally around between 20 and 25 degrees in the afternoon in the sun. Bear in mind with islands, they get island climate. So the weather is able to change pretty fast. And also when you're in one part of the island, the weather might be totally different to the other, especially if you're going up. So the further up you go, up mountains and hills, the obviously the less warm it will be. But if you're by the seafront in the afternoon and the sun is out, it's not rare for it to reach 30 or even higher, and that's during winter. So if you're looking for a winter escape, these islands are probably the place to be. As with anywhere, the weather's not guaranteed. But as I said, like with the ever-changing weather, even if it does rain, it's possible, say 10 minutes later, the rain stopped. It's not all bad. I mean, even when it's cloudy, the temperature is still pretty warm, at least during the daytime. The evenings, nights do get a bit chilly, but and obviously in summer it's much better weather, but more consistent, a bit less rain. So they're pretty much an all year round destination. And that brings me on to the next subject. They're a good alternative for Christmas and New Year if you're a little bit bored of spending like that sort of period at home, or you fancy a change, you want some warmer weather, then being a fairly religious country, Spain does have a lot of celebrations and festivals. At Christmas, there's always something going on, also for New Year's Eve as well. You won't be short of celebrations or festivities, things to do. So no, number three is good for everyone really, like both single travelers, couples, families. They really do have things to do for everyone. Like if you go as part of a tour group, obviously they'll have things arranged. You can also book tours with my link below. They're quite good for single travelers because you get to meet other travelers, other single travelers, and their prices are quite reasonable. They normally have a guide or pick you up from your hotel, so they're just a good way to see the island as well. If you don't want to go around doing things on your own or you don't speak the language. Generally in Tenerife, people do have some level of English, especially in tourist areas like hotels. So you won't really have any issues there, but it's always nice if you are able to speak the language, right? So that brings me on to number four, that there are things to do for free or very inexpensive things to do. Obviously, you can just head to the beach if it's sunny, and apart from maybe like the bus or any drinks you buy, it's free to just go to the beach. You can go along for walks, looking at shops. You're able to go to swimming pools. If you're obviously most hotels have a pool, but you might want to explore some other ones too. Like there's always something going on that either is free or very inexpensive or included in your hotel or tour package already. So and generally cost of living is fairly inexpensive. I'll find out when I go tomorrow if prices have gone up, but generally the price of things on these islands is fairly reasonable. So the other thing is it's really good for remote workers now. They have fiber optic internet and it's normal to have Wi-Fi pretty much everywhere. I think pretty much every hotel these days would have it. So it's a good alternative for anyone who works remotely, especially if you're in Europe. Tenerife and the Canary Islands are actually the same time zone as Britain and Ireland, so you don't even need to worry about the time difference because it's the same. Reason number 6 I did already mention actually is that even though the official language is Spanish, most people do have some level of English, especially in the tourist areas. It may have changed and be even more now as more younger people learn English through school education. If you're in a tourist area or you do a tour, they'll have a guide for you in English. So that won't be a massive problem as a tourist or someone staying there for a short level of time. If you're staying there for a long period of time, you probably will need to know some Spanish. I mean, there's people that do live there that don't, but yeah, that's a topic for a whole other video. So my last and final reason is that many airlines fly there, especially in Europe. Even if you travel from outside Europe, you'd probably still find a flight. Connections have got much better over the last, say, 7, 8 years. They have more direct flights to Marrakesh. Obviously Madrid has always been one, Barcelona. So if you're changing from another flight, then those are probably the airports you would go to. But if you're traveling, say, from most places in Britain or Ireland, there'd be a direct flight. And because a lot of airlines fly there, the prices are always pretty reasonable as they aren't able to charge too much, otherwise people would just go with another airline. So there's really quite a lot of flight options, no matter where you live or where you're traveling from. They also have inter-island flights, so you're able to explore other islands fairly easily. And yeah, the prices are pretty reasonable from most major cities in Europe. They would have a direct flight. And like I said, they are having a lot more different routes these days. So you shouldn't struggle if you are looking to find a flight. I'll put the link below. And as always, please do like and subscribe. I'll be back soon with another video. And until then, take care and I'll see you soon.